Everyone is racing to let AI write more for them. I am going to tell you why that is the fastest way to disappear and what to do instead. Stay with me. Okay, so here is the reality nobody is saying out loud. We are heading into a world where the cost of producing content drops to almost zero. Anyone can make anything. And in that world, only one thing separates the signal from the noise, and it is the one thing AI will never have. If everyone has access to these tools, how do you stand out? This is where your actual life becomes your advantage. AI does not have your childhood memories. It does not have your weird high school stories, your heartbreaks, your wins, your cultural background, your inside jokes with your best friend. All of that is raw material only you can bring. Historian Yuval Noah Harari has a line I love. He said, "Humans think in stories, and we try to make sense of the world by telling stories. You can connect those patterns to your lived experiences. That combination is where the real magic happens. The people who stand out are not the ones who create the most or the fastest. They are the ones who tell the best stories." In the next few minutes, you are going to see how story is your hidden superpower. You will see why and how it can become your personal story amplifier, helping you go from blank page to vivid scene faster. By the end of this video, you will know the simple system we are going to use so you can sit down tonight and start crafting stories that actually make people care. Whether you're writing emails and proposals that close deals in your business, creating bedtime stories that light up your kids' imaginations, or pouring your own life onto the page for personal essays, memoirs, or social posts, this episode is for you. We're diving deep into business writing, kids storytelling, and personal writing because the same storytelling principles that make one work make all of them magnetic in the age of AI. Let us start with a simple idea. When I talk about story power, I am not talking about being a Hollywood screenwriter. Story power is your ability to make people care, remember, and act. It is the difference between purely saying, "I learned the importance of persistence," and telling a 2-minute story about the work meeting you bombed, the feedback from your boss that stung, and the promotion you earned a year later. What AI can do is remove friction. What only you can do is decide which moments from your real life actually matter and how honest you are willing to be about them. That is the part no model can fake. There is a famous line from researcher and author Brené Brown. She said, "Maybe stories are just data with a soul." That is exactly what you bring that AI does not. You bring the soul, AI helps you arrange the data, and the science backs this up. In one experiment described by Stanford professor Chip Heath, students gave short speeches packed with facts and stories. When he tested what the audience remembered, only about 5% recalled a single statistic, but 63% remembered at least one story. That is more than 12 times the impact. Let me show you a tiny example. Imagine you start with a plain statement. "I moved to a new city for work." That is fine, but it is flat. Now imagine you feed that to an AI tool and say, "Turn this into the opening of a short personal story. Add a hint of conflict, one emotion I might have felt, and a small turning point." Over the rest of this video, we are going to turn that power into a simple, repeatable system. We will use AI to get you from "I have nothing interesting to say" to "I have more story ideas than I can tell." We will build characters and worlds that feel real, give your stories a clear structure people can follow, and then tune the language so it still sounds like you, not like a robot. So now that you know story is your superpower in an AI world, let us tackle the most annoying part of storytelling. That moment where you stare at a blank page and your brain does absolutely nothing. If that is you, you are not broken, you are normal. Surveys of professional writers often find that a clear majority often report writer's block. The difference now is you have a tool that can blast through that wall in a couple of minutes. What if I said you could open an AI chat and go from 0 ideas to a list of 10 relevant stories in about 2 minutes? The secret is what is referred to as seed input. Instead of saying, "Give me story ideas," you give the AI a tiny handful of real details about you and your goal. You would type something like this. You are a creative writing coach. Ask me 5 questions about my life, my experiences, and my interests. Suggest 10 short story ideas or personal anecdotes I could tell. This is where you would fill in your context, like wedding speech, Instagram reel, or LinkedIn post. So the flow is simple. Step 1, you tell it to act like a creative writing coach. That sets the vibe. Step 2, you ask it to ask you questions first. That is crucial. It forces the AI to learn about you instead of guessing from thin air. Step 3, you tell it exactly how many ideas you want and where you plan to use them. This is the next important skill, filtering. You do not have to love all 10 ideas. In fact, you won't. Your job is not to judge yourself. Your job is to scan the list and circle the 2 or 3 that tightens your chest a little. You might think, oh, that dinner really was a turning point, or that game example is fun, but I would twist it this way. That tiny spark is your signal. Those are the ideas you will take into the next chapters, where we build characters and structure. Everything that feels off or wrong or boring is not failure. It is data. You can literally tell the AI, these 2 ideas feel too dramatic. Or, I do not talk about my childhood online, avoid that, and ask for 10 more that follow your boundaries. You bring the raw material, the moves, the memories, the weird little moments. AI is just your fast, non-judgmental brainstorming buddy that never runs out of suggestions. Now that you have a handful of story ideas from the last chapter, you are not staring at a blank page anymore. You have sparks, things that feel exciting, or at least interesting. So now we zoom in and ask a simple question. Who is this story really about, and where is it happening? Because the fastest way to turn a generic AI story into something people actually care about is to give it a real person and a real place to live in. Here is a simple prompt you can steal. Take one of the ideas you generated earlier and say, act as a creative writing coach. Take this story idea, paste your idea, and create 3 different main characters for this story. For each character, give me a name, 1 sentence of backstory, what they want, what they are afraid of, 1 quirky detail that makes them memorable. Run that and watch what happens. Now, what about the world they live in? This is where most people think world building only matters for epic fantasy or sci-fi. Dragons, space stations, that kind of thing. But the truth is, your everyday world needs just as much love. AI is really good at filling in those sensory details. The sounds, the smells, the tiny visual cues we often forget when we are writing on our own. Try a prompt like this. Describe a setting. Be sure to enter your setting in vivid sensory detail for a short story. Focus on what someone would see, hear, and smell, plus 2 or 3 small details that make this place feel unique. So you might type, describe a small neighborhood cafe on a rainy Monday morning, and your AI might give you the hiss of the espresso machine, the squeak of wet shoes on the tile, the smell of burnt caramel, the wobbly table in the corner that everyone avoids, and the handwritten sign that says rainy day discount, ask for the secret drink. Let me give you a super simple, real-life example. Imagine you want to tell a bedtime story for a kid who loves dinosaurs and space. You could type, my kid is 5 years old and loves dinosaurs and space. Help me create a main character who is a dinosaur astronaut. Give me their name, what they want, what they are afraid of, 1 funny habit they have, and describe the galaxy they explore in a way a 5-year-old would find magical. You can see how, in 1 prompt, you get a character with a goal, a fear, a quirk, and a world that feels playful and specific. That is the magic combo. You do not need a film school degree. The structure I want you to use has 4 parts that you can remember in seconds. Part 1, the hook. This is the first line or 2 that makes someone think, wait, what happened? Or tell me more. It can be surprising, emotional, or just very specific and visual. Part 2, the problem or conflict. What goes wrong? What is at stake? Or what tension shows up that your character has to deal with? Part 3, the turning point. This is the decision, the realization, or the moment something shifts and the story takes a new direction. Part 4, the outcome and the lesson. What changed because of this, and what did you or the character learn that is worth sharing? That is it. Hook, problem, turning point, outcome, and lesson. 4 simple beats that you can use for almost any story you tell. Here is where AI becomes super fun. You can iterate on each piece instead of starting from scratch every time. You might say, make the hook more surprising but still true to this story. AI will keep giving you variations until the shape of the story feels right for you, your voice, and your audience. You can use the same 4-part structure for a LinkedIn post about a project at work, a TikTok about a small failure and what you learned, or even a bedtime story where the hook is a wild image like The night the dinosaur astronaut forgot how to roar. Now that you have a story idea, you have characters, and you have a structure, AI can spit out a full draft for you in seconds. And this is where a lot of people look at the screen and think, but it does not sound like me at all. Let's fix that, because your voice is the secret sauce. So let me walk you through a practical workflow that makes this easy. Step 1, show the AI what you sound like. Do not skip this. Grab a short paragraph you have written before, a social post, an email to a friend, a journal entry, anything that feels very you. Then use a prompt like this. Here is a paragraph in my own writing style, and paste your real writing. Here is a story draft. Paste the AI-generated story. Rewrite the story draft in the same tone and style as my writing. Keep it clear and natural. What you are doing here is teaching the model your rhythm. The result will not be perfect, but it will jump closer to your voice. If the AI still sounds a bit stiff, you can stack another prompt on top. Rewrite this to sound more like a casual conversation between friends. You do not just accept the output and hit publish. This is where you do a quick human polish. Think of it like tasting the dish before you serve it. Read the paragraph out loud. Literally, your ear will catch things your eyes miss. Ask yourself, would I say it like that in a real conversation? Is there a weird word in here I would never use? Is there a line where I can add a tiny personal detail, a specific memory, or a small vulnerability? Try a prompt, like take this story and add one specific sensory detail, one honest emotion, and one small vulnerable moment, while keeping the tone casual and true to my style. That way, the model helps you dial up connection, not just polish grammar. So now that you know how to make AI sound like you, this is where it gets really fun. Let us drop these stories into your real life, at work, on social media, and with the people you care about most. I want you to see storytelling not as a rare, special occasion skill, but as something you can use on a random Tuesday. Let us start with work, because that is where most of us feel the pressure to sound professional, and we end up sounding like a robot. Take a classic resume or LinkedIn line. Managed a team of 5 on a marketing project. Useful, but forgettable. You can ask AI something like, turn this achievement into a short, engaging story for LinkedIn that shows a challenge, the action I took, and the result. Here's the sentence. Managed a team of 5 on a marketing project. AI might come back with something like, last year, our small team of 5 was handed a campaign that was already behind schedule and over budget. I reworked our plan into weekly sprints, reassigned tasks based on strengths. And within 2 months, we launched on time and increased signups by 18%. You can use the same approach for presentations. Instead of opening with our Q3 results are in, you tell AI, help me turn this metric into a 1-minute story that shows the problem, what we tried, and what changed. Audience is non-technical colleagues. Suddenly, your slide deck has a human heartbeat. So here is your challenge. This week, use AI to help you tell 3 tiny stories. One for work, maybe on LinkedIn or in a meeting. One for social media, a simple 30-second reel about a real moment. And one for your personal life, a toast, a message, or a bedtime story for someone you care about. You learned why stories still matter more than ever, how to go from a blank page to a bunch of ideas in minutes, and how to turn those ideas into vivid characters and worlds that feel real, not generic. You explored simple structures that grab attention, discovered how to keep your voice so AI does not wash you out, and you saw concrete examples of how to use this in work, on social media, and in your personal life. Now you have a clear, repeatable routine from context and brainstorming through character and structure, all the way to drafting and polishing with AI as your creative co-pilot. From here, the path is simple. Use the system, tell one small story at a time, and let those stories compound. AI will keep evolving, new tools will appear, and the landscape will change, but your lived experience, your perspective, and your ability to make people care through story, that is the part that will always be uniquely yours. So keep experimenting, keep playing, and most of all, keep telling your stories. Because in a noisy AI world, your honest story is not just content, it is your edge. If this helped you make sense of where AI is actually going, do 2 things. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and drop your questions in the comments. We'll see you next time.